This is where the men get separated from the boys. The crypto market over the past few hours has been moving down. And everybody seems to all of a sudden be a genius in the comment section by stating, "I told you it was going to go down. See, I told you so, I told you so." And I find it funny because when the market is moving upwards, nobody's saying a thing. Nobody. Everybody's staying quiet. They're saying, "Yeah, I wish I bought sooner. No." But all of a sudden, the market comes crumbling down, and all of a sudden, they're all smart. They all had the crystal ball. They all could have seen it coming, They all knew it. But you know what I think? I'm not a financial advisor. Matter of fact, nothing I say in these videos is financial advice. Everything I'm talking about here is no guarantee. It's just my opinion, my journey, my whatever, right? Everything is for educational, for fun purposes. Nothing here should be seen as advice, and I want you to copy nothing. I don't want you to take any actions, and I'm not promising you any results. I'm not promising you anything. I'm making that disclaimer just to be sure. But you know what I think? I think this is, again, where the men get separated from the boys. A while back, a few days ago, I told y'all, see, I wish I could have bought, I should have bought more when things were down lower. And you know what many people said? Dusty, should we still be buying here or wait for a correction? I always say one thing. It is if you're seeing a ridiculous amount of profit, you might as well sell something now because you don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. But I still stand by my earlier statement. People will get shaken out. Bitcoin could shave off 5,000 in a day, and it'll shake a lot of people out their chair because they're little whiny asses. But generally speaking, I believe what we are seeing right now is the greatest transfer of wealth our generation has ever seen and most likely will ever see. It is the best, craziest, wildest opportunity that I think I'll ever see in front of my own hands, in front of my own eyes, just in my space here, being able to touch it. That sounds a bit weird, but anyway. And I don't think this is the opportunity to all of a sudden be like, you know what, let's give up. This is the bear market. We're going to continue down. There are so many people who like to play genius in the comment section who are praying for the downfall of these coins. But you want to know a little funny thing? And this is funniest out of all. I asked before, if you are so sure we're going to be going down, present me your shorts. Show me that you really think the market is going to go down. As a matter of fact, go down soon. Not by a little bit, not by like 5%. I'm talking about down. Show me a short with some significant size to it. I don't want to see any trades that are like $2,000, right? Show me at least a few $1 million that you're shorting, because at that point, I want to come in to whatever country you're at and shake your hand because you are a genius, and that deserves to be known by everybody. But 99% of it is just clutter because people like their own voices, I guess. They like it when they all of a sudden are echoing through the realms of saying they're right. When in reality, I don't know. I don't think it's really beneficial. All that's beneficial is thinking about whatever situation is going on and what do we do? Well, in this case, you're looking at the looking at the altcoins. Well, yes, we are going down, but when you really start looking at it, does it really look like we're going down that much? Even if we were to, for example, dump another like 30% here in the grand scheme of things, right, for alts, does it really look that bad? Like honest truth, just give me the real rundown. It doesn't really look that bad. If we were to get, bounce off, I'm not saying 30%, but I mean 3%. I'm not sure where I went wrong in that. About $30 billion down, for example. I don't know, it really wouldn't feel that crazy, and that's the funny thing. Right now, we've moved down a little bit from the highs we saw just yesterday. But in reality, we right now are trading at Bitcoin prices of 4 days ago. But if I were to look at Twitter, it feels like we've gone down to 95. And again, I've also described in an earlier video why, historically, buying into the breakout pump basically has almost always resulted in a massive amount of gains over time. You have to understand one very important thing. Over a day, over a 3-day, over a 1 week, even a 2-week period, everything is hard to see. If you start zooming out, especially over a few month time span here, if you take a look at the overarching Bitcoin chart, right, which again, this is the indicator for, generally speaking, where altcoins are headed. If you take a look at it, it's almost always just been upwards with some predictability. And I still feel as if that's the case right now as it stands. On the short term, you can realize that there's been a dip. On the short term, you can realize things have started to move down. But again, looking at ETH here, It doesn't really even look like we've seen any sort of dip for ETH. It's just because we had a pretty crazy spike, but matter of fact, ETH is not moving at all. And so even when you look at Bitcoin's dominance, it's not as if all of a sudden they're taking back over. Matter of fact, Bitcoin is going down as hard as most of the other coins are, so it's not really gaining dominance back here either. And the strategy that I mentioned over the last few days in my videos of if we go down significantly, I have a strategy, which is if I've got my bots, for example, if I'm down 50%, I usually double the size. That way I can get my average price significantly better. And that's also how my XLM bot specifically was able to get to my #1 most profitable one over the past few months because I bought the dip. And I still stand by what I said earlier. I stated, this feels like this is where the altcoin season pops off, where the bull market sets in. Yes, the journey will be a bit frisky, a bit strange, right? That's every single season. Sometimes you may feel like, oh, no, it's not actually going to happen, but that's because we're not in peak euphoria. If we were, though, it'd basically be over in like a few weeks. Like what, 3 weeks or so and we're done? No, it is going to be shaky, left, right, but the nice thing is that generally speaking, Bitcoin's move above 120 just now, to me at least, and again, this is a personal thing. I'm not your advisor, I'm not your financial advisor, I'm making you no guarantees. To me, Bitcoin moving above 120 means the road to 200, the road to even higher than that has been paved, right? This season, in my opinion, has been confirmed. We're, in my opinion, going to go insano mode. All I got to do is be patient. All I got to do is realize the FOMO I felt over the past few days and realize that just yesterday even, right? In this case, though, I've been buying really proper, so I didn't really feel it. But I remember now, again, that in really good times, you often feel like you should have bought more. You should have taken more opportunity of dips. But then I also said before that when that dip happens, you feel scared. You feel like, ooh, but what if it falls down more? And this is the ever increasing problem for most people, is that they never learn from that mistake. The mistake being that when the price is going up, they think you should have bought more and they buy high. But then when the prices go down, they get scared, they sell. But more importantly, they just refuse to buy. And again, to break that cycle, what I think is easiest to think of is remember that feeling you felt yesterday when everything was up and up and up. You felt like this could take on, break walls, could go crazy. Nothing fundamentally really has changed. Perhaps if really your craziest of supports are broken and you feel like there's a really big paradigm shift in the market. Now it's going to start falling. Okay. But for me, from my strategies, I've been telling you guys for a long time exactly what I do in situations like this. Right now, we're still up way too much to really add significantly to the longs. For example, over on Blowfin, right? And by the way, for all these platforms that I'm using, I've left a link to every single one of them down below. There's some nice bonuses on them. But for my trading bots also, I'll tell you right now that this, for every single one of y'all who's using this too, is again such a beautiful thing. Why? Because the more volatility, the more we are making from the grids. Because again, if you look at the insides of it, exactly what it's doing, ultimately it's buying, selling as the price moves up and down. So if it's doing that right now, it's down, for example, it's being able to buy significantly. And as it moves back up, which again, in my opinion, is pretty likely, it again will sell. You can see just in about 1 day, it was able to generate us 1% with IOTA. Now, again, even though you can't guarantee this over a prolonged period of time, this IOTA thing, if you take a look at how the bot's been doing, right? Earlier, like an hour ago, it was at a bit of a loss. Right now, it's back up 6% or so. But if we extrapolate this to over a year, just only from being volatile, we'd be up 250% on what it's been able to cash out. And then potentially, if it were to go up this much every single day, right, we'd also be up like 16x or so on IOTA's price. But again, we don't know about that part. But this first part, that's really the crazy thing. Same for Pengu. If whatever happened today, again, we don't even need to go up. If it just keeps going crazy, up, down, you can see what we'd be able to do over a year. 800% gains over a year. And you can see for Algo, 500%, right? Because again, we're basically banking on that volatility. Same for Hyperliquid, same for Doge, albeit a bit lower. But if these are down 50% to what I'll be adding, and again, if you're feeling uncomfortable with the liquidation, you can always add some margin. For example, hey, Doge is at 19 cents. Or as an example, you're not too comfortable with that, you can always add the button to add a bit of margin. For example, hey, you know what? I don't feel comfortable with Doge at this spot. Add $1,000 with a margin, as an example. All of a sudden, we've lowered the liquidation price by a pretty good penny, as right now it's 14 point something. And I could do the same for every single one of them, depending, of course, on what type of trader you are. But again, the main principle as to why I use these trading systems over the main longs is not because they do exceedingly well on just straight up longs. No, it's because they make use of the volatility. That's the nicest part. So where would I get scared? Where, if Bitcoin goes, where will I get afraid? There's no level. I've shown you over the past few days. I made a video earlier today explaining why I think buying into a massive rally, breaking the local high, the all-time high really here, is worth it from a risk-reward perspective. I still stand by that. Even if it turns out to be wrong, really, all I gotta do is be a bit more patient and I'm still right regardless. Remember the situation, right? The only thing you can ever tell me is, Dusty, you should have locked in more profit when the market was going up. But again, from my own perspective, I do not feel as if the peak of the altcoin season is hit yet. So all I'm seeing right now is clutter. This is all just to mess with you, make you sell. Every single bull market has it. If you look back at any single chart, there's not a day of minus 2%. You think so? You think that in all the seasons, 2017 season, 2021 season, there's not a day where Bitcoin went down 2% or some alts went down 10%? Fun fact, even in the bull market of 2021, there's been some days where altcoins slashed like 30%, maybe 40% in a day. Doesn't mean the overall trend was negative. So again, just to get you all back on track here, all I want to say is, if you can't handle a 2%, a 5%, a 10% downwards move, what makes you think you are prepared for the battle upwards? Because again, it's going to get way more volatile as time progresses. You're going to get way more crazier as time progresses. I've told you already that this is the time where you can't properly sleep no more. And that's not only because things go up, also because they go down. So every time you go to bed, you think, oh, I should have bought more, I should have bought more, I should have bought more. Because you wake up and the price is up 40%. You click buy because you're like, it's going to keep going up. All of a sudden, the next day is down 25%. You're like, I'm selling it because it's going to keep going down forever. All of a sudden, it's back up 70% the next day. Generally speaking, the trend is upwards, but a lot of people will lose their mind because markets move fast. That's, again, why they call this okay, I wanted to name something so crazy, but I shouldn't, all right? I should keep my channel here clean. But you know what? If you're still here, and you still believe in the market right now, you still believe we're good, let me know down below. Just type in, I'm still here. Why am I asking for that? Because I want to see. Every single day we talk about these opportunities. Every single day we talk about the strategy. But all of a sudden, when the market moves a little bit towards the direction they don't see as green, people start panicking like crazy and saying, you see, this is why it's going to zero, blah, blah, blah. But then they're not really backing it up with their own trades. They just like to say it. Really, I've noticed this from the past few years of making videos here. Most people like to scream when things are going a bit wrong. I don't know. Maybe it's just this innerly feeling of wanting to see people fail or something along those lines. Or maybe it's just wanting to be right and hearing your own voice and saying that. Which again, to me, feels kind of counterintuitive because most people are not backing it up with their shorts. But all I'm saying as of these levels is, matter of fact, out of principle, I kind of just want to buy here again. And maybe I'll just buy here like a 1%. How much is that? And this get okay, 1% is just like a 50K bag. You know what? We can just buy a $30,000 here. I'll buy worth of XRP right here at this level. It got bought right there. You might say, Dusty, but 287 is just too high. It's way too high. Why are you doing that, you crazy buffoon? Yeah. It's just to prove a point here of any dip is a blessing. As I said before, I still got $5 million worth of XRP that I can buy at these levels still. So I'm not really too concerned here. If we go down significantly, you know what? We'll just keep adding. The thing is though, what Bitcoin just did over the past few days, it has solidified my belief. Every single time now it comes down, I see that as an opportunity. If you get scared, I understand where you're coming from. Trust me, I do. I've been here for a while. But you got to also see my perspective, which is through my strategies that I provided over the past few days here. I prepared almost every single one of you for any scenario, up or down, up or down. I told you when this, let me see it again. This XRP trade was at minus 80,000. Just wait, it'll be plus 200K. And what have we seen just yesterday? It was plus 199K or something like that, right? Maybe plus 200 when I was sleeping, possible. I told you the same for all these bots. I have over $1 million in these bots right now. Again, just count them up. It's 1 point something million. You want to know a fun thing? This could be down a few $100,000 at some point. It was down maybe like 60,000 or something a while back. But you want to know the funny thing? As time progresses, you'll just see me keep stacking them. You'll see me keep doing better and better and better. And people like to always what is that? But where can it go wrong? Can it go wrong? And I understand that also because sometimes I also can be over analytical. I can be overthinking too much about all these different situations. And to some extent, that's good. I like it when people do that. But on the opposite side, sometimes if a strategy really makes a lot of sense, every single time it's proven to be a good idea, sometimes it serves to not be too critical and just try things out. Again, I'm not your financial advisor. What I'm thinking right now is Bitcoin is back to square one with the prices we saw a few days ago. People would right now, oh man, just yesterday, if I told you at 123, like, oh, you know what? You can buy at 117 soon. Don't worry about it. A lot of people would have said, no, we're going to 124 and we're breaking through. We're going to 130. But right now we're back at 116 point something. And all of a sudden people get scared. There's a lesson in that, which is don't listen to the masses. Most people get scared when push comes to shove. Second of all, again, realize the longer term in this. Don't think too short-sighted, right? If we do crash even further, see it as just a bet, in my opinion, right? A better opportunity rather than something to be scared of. And realize that throughout time, nobody's ever, made, lost or that by buying a Bitcoin dip because we're at an all-time high. Again, I cannot make guarantees for the future, but this is the history of it. What is my plan? I don't know. You've already seen my bots here. I'm already locked in. The only thing I could do is just look at for things that have gone down tremendously today and just start adding things. For example, what I used to do back in 2018 is to look for the worst performing coins in the top. So these are all, in this case here, they're kind of wacky, right? But I used to go, for example, to the top 100. And this is, again, something for the degens amongst us, right? I used to go to the top 100, see whatever's fallen the most, and I buy the living crap out of it. If it goes down further, I double down, I DCA. Why? Because it's a bull market, everything usually bounces back pretty hard. And that's why I was just showing you guys earlier some of my trading videos from 2018. Again, when, for example, BNB was just $8 at this time. It's just a funny situation. Look at this. This is one of my accounts here where it's only one Bitcoin inside. And I was selling IOTA here, for example. It was a 0.1 Bitcoin worth of IOTA. We were selling for what, $50 here worth of profit. But the idea is what counted, which is that this was a good market, even though it was actually, fun fact, after the bull market. But I realized sometimes from watching my older videos back, and this is one of the fun things a lot of people don't have the privilege of seeing, but I have 8 years of me making videos every single day to look back at sometimes, that I realize if you just shut up, don't overthink it too much, right? And really go for quality assets you think will be around for a few years, things usually work out. And a lot of these coins, by the way, they changed trajectory. For example, VeChain did a split of sorts. I think they went to like 1/1000th of what they were at back then. A lot of coins have not, done so well over time. NEM is not anywhere anymore. I don't know what NEM has done. A lot of these coins, matter of fact, they've gone to basically zero. But then again, that's why you diversify. That's why you have a broad portfolio of things. So the probability of that is smaller. And look here, for example, some of the garbage that I was buying at this point. Every single time they went down like 1%, I just decided to buy even more. It was so stupid, but it worked so well. And again, a lot of people can't handle it to see their positions being down a lot. But if you've got a good buying strategy, then the moment the market picks back up, you benefit significantly from it. Again, the only way this doesn't work is if you believe the market is going to zero, which I don't. But yeah, today the weak gets separated from the strong again. We will see who's able to hold through this and who is not able to. There'll be a lot of people who, again, if I look at the comment section, say, I told you so, I told you so, I told you so. But they made no money at all. That's most of the time. I see your comments, by the way. I see them always. All right, I really do. But it's all good. We'll see who has the last laugh over the next few months. I've been here for a while. I've been here through way worse, my friends. I've been talking about XRP for many years when it was below 50 cents. We've talked about it on funny days when XRP was at 10 cents, 11 cents. And just to quickly put y'all on the spot, some of y'all don't even remember what the old Binance used to look like. This is what, 7-8 years ago somewhere? It's really funny how things have changed. Everything used to always be in BTC. Nobody used to trade in USDT ever. And also, it used to be called Ripple, not XRP. I'm just taking you back for fun to the fact that I've been covering XRP's move here, for example, right? All the way back in where? I think this is March of 2018, for example, where it went from $1.15 all the way towards 50 cents. I've also been able to find some of my older videos here at 22 cents in XRP, and this one was called XRP. We're so lucky. This is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. And just for fun, do any of you guys remember what the lowest day for XRP was in the modern history? Well, it was here on March 13th. What is the XRP price that it hit that day? The price hit about 11 cents a coin. Do you know what video I made on March 13th, 2020? Ripple XRP, why I just bought more XRP. And trust me when I say, I was a lot worse at everything back then, because this is like years ago, right? So don't think those were really good, but one thing I apparently did have good taste for is my tweets. Brittany Rose had a nice post here. It said, I used to have my future words prepared as a saying, I was buying XRP when the world was watching Game of Thrones, but now I'm changing it to I was buying XRP at 0.15 when the world was buying toilet paper. And you might ask, Dusty, why are you sharing this? Well, because overall, if you could go back now and buy bulk loads at 0.15, right, at 11 cents, 15 cents, whatever, even though it took many years, it took like 5 years or something like that, I think almost any other investor would have... Oh, I see my camera stuck. I was going to say almost anybody... Let's just look at a chart while I give you that story. I would say almost any single person would be like, oh yeah, give me that, give me that, give me that. And one of the excuses to people will always be like, yeah, but I wasn't there yet. I didn't even know. But now you do. And now people at that point, a lot of people made the same choice of saying, no, I'm going to sell here. You see, this is, we go to zero, no belief, no trust. And a lot of people were like, you know what? I got to wing it for the biscuit. In theory, it could go down, but I think it is worth the journey. And that's where I stand right now by saying, hey, if you want to be a little whiny ass and sell the freaking bottom, you know, nobody will remember your name. But hey, if that's fine with you, if you really think it's going to go down further, I stand with you to say, you know what, brother? You do you, all right? He'll hold a hand up. My camera's lagging. I don't know why it's not want to work with me, but I'm with you. But I'm going to be buying that dip. I'm going to be holding. This is where the weak gets separated from the strong. Not finished advice. That's about it.